Well, we have just a couple of minutes to wrap up the show on the market side, and to start with the stock market, starting on a back footing today. According to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, today's trading will be cut by about 2.5 hours, about 2 hours. Closing bell today will be at 12:30, just we have about an hour or 30 minutes or less than 2 hours to the end of today's trading day. So it's a very short trading day. We expect few brokers to be on the floor. Those who are doing remote trading, folks are traveling, folks are wrapping up for the year. So right now, the stock market index is in negative territory, starting on a back foot. Now, the NSE 30, which is the basket of the 30 most liquid and heavyweight on the exchange, is down by about less than 0.1%. The NSE 50 is 0.04% in the positive reading. The banks losing 0.11%. That's the banking index this morning as we speak. In the opening hours, 0.11%. Insurance, industrial goods, oil and gas, consumer goods are flat, neutral as we speak right now. That's giving you the sense of how we're starting today's trading day on the stock exchange on a back footing. A very short hours of trading, down by 2 hours according to the notice published out. The stock exchange observes every national holidays, and that's the only one. So that is there. But yesterday, if you just saw that earlier, was a profit booking. Just a day before the final trading day, there was a massive profit booking. That's 1.55%, the deepest we've seen in about 2 weeks for the market, coming down very sharply on a single session, bringing the all-share index to the doorstep of 26,115. As we speak, that index is reading about 26,110. On the counter. Then you find the equity cap most likely will remain at this 12 trillion level by December the 31st. But again, if you had such very massive profit taking yesterday, more than 1%, more than 1.5%, what is the volume? That tells you that investors were just looking for how to balance their books and try to look really good. Fund managers before the end of the year, that's less than 200 million ordinary shares. That's well below our daily average on our market, 2.43 billion naira in value and less than 3,000 transactions. So very sharp, low volume, but then a very heavy profit booking. Yesterday also was the central bank conducted. The central bank would today conduct an open market operation. So all of that part of what investors are trying to do last minute positioning before the end of the year. Look at the key sectors yesterday, see where the market bled the most likely, well, it looked a little bit fairly spread across the big five subsectors, but the banks, consumer goods and industrial goods took the heaviest of the beating by those numbers. Insurance sidestepped the banks by 0.45%. If you look at insurance, folks, they've had a number of issues as we speak, issues relating to their June 2020 deadline for recapitalization, the change of board of directors, new investors, rights issue, change of managing director, all of that. Investors are pricing all of that into the insurance sector to see who emerges as how within in the next 6 months or thereabout. Keep that on your calendar. Oil and gas was 0.62% positive. Again, Owando is still finding investors' appetite strong on the back of that NLNG 20-year gas deal that was signed about 2 weeks ago and which was announced. Owando says this will improve the company's financial liquidity and moving forward. So that's good news that Owando is still riding, but the price continued to move up and down within the same range. Haven't been able to break out of that 3 naira plus in terms of price. Hasn't been able to break to 4 or 5 naira per share. So yesterday we finished off 3 naira 60 on the counter there for Owando. Of course, the market is yet to react to news from 2 other listed energy companies, which are MRS announcing the retirement or the exit of its managing director and CEO and the incoming of another individual. MRS has that news out on the market street as we speak. Then you have another company, which is Forte Oil, now change its name. What is the story there? How does this company move forward? But the biggest story is from Mobil, which is go by the trading name Double One PLC, announcing multi-billion naira acquisition of Continental Hotel in Victoria Island in Lagos. The company announced to the market that it has bought this company from Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. Some sources say it's about 50 billion naira. That was what was paid. But the caveat there in a statement issued to the market by Mobil Oil PLC was that the commitment of this purchase of Continental Hotels in Victoria Island says in the short term it will impact the company's Mobil Oil cash flow and earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization, known as EBITDA, will be under strain because as a result of funds that will be needed to renovate that hotel and upgrade it to attract a 5-star branding. That is what the company pushed out in the last 2 days since Monday on the market street. Of course, Mobil Oil, or W1PS, who is now the new owner of Continental Hotel in Victoria Island, says they're assuring all the employees that they'll be treated with the utmost dignity and respect during the transition period, and asking for their cooperation as the ownership of Continental Hotel, which is a global brand, moved from the AMCON, which took it over due to issues relating to Skybank, if you remember the backdrop to that story, now into the hands of an oil company buying Continental Hotel PLC. Check with me quickly. NASD over-the-counter market was neuter yesterday despite about 415,000 units of unlisted securities traded for the day. That's printing the NSI, which is the NASD Securities Index, still below the 700 reading, 697.54. Just 2 transactions, a very flat Monday. And finally, looking at the FMDQ Securities Exchange. Let's take a quick round. Oh, that's the volume value, the primary indicators for the NASD OTC market for Monday. Let's just put it there. Everyone understand where the market, but the action is where it is. That's where the debt market is. Bring it on. Okay, that's your NTB. This is the market for retail investors and body corporates. And as you can see, the 4.0% for June 11, 2020 Treasury bills and 4.9% for 18th of June, the same month next year. But again, if you look at the rest, you find that the rates are still in single digits. That was 10 billion. Again, whatever the central bank is offering or the market is willing to offer, investors are willing to take that. And that's why you saw that volume of 10 billion. But open market operations, 150 billion before the end of the week. Well, let's see, Thursday is a public holiday. Let's see when the central bank will redeem the 905 billion naira mature treasuries for this week. If that comes in, it's going to be serious liquidity. But again, the market is still very active with what you saw there on the screen. Then the FGN bonds is coming through at 58.1 billion. That's quite heavy, looking at 53 transactions. All of this, pension funds, insurance folks, institutional investors, fund managers are wrapping up the books just before the 25th, which is tomorrow. We got a very special edition of the program for you tomorrow here with Bismarck Rewani, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Financial Derivatives Company and a member of the Economic Advisory Council of the President. Let's wrap it up. The central bank has gotten some kudos for the new guidelines, some bank charges, which comes into effect January 1, 2020. We'll continue to explain this to everyone, but the 50 naira point of sale stamp duty payment got some guys on nerve. They're asking questions. How do they get their money back? Who authorized that consumers should pay the 50 naira in the first instance? Who is to blame? Folks want to blame someone, but more important, they want their money back. I'll see you again tomorrow. Let's lay back now and enjoy the rest of the day and have a very special look back and look forward 2020 tomorrow here at 10 o'clock in the morning. Don't be late.